So I've been flying the Mini 5 Pro since a couple of weeks before its official announcement, and since then I've been gathering so many different impressions, so much information and so much things to talk about that I wanted to create this after the hype type of video to let you know what my long-term impressions of the Mini 5 Pro have been and whether you can fit this into your creator workflow. Let's get started. So first, what are you actually buying when you get this drone? We have a 1-inch CMOS sensor here with 50 megapixel stills, video up to 4K 60 frames per second and 4K 120 frames per second in slow-mo mode, 10-bit D-Log-M color profile, HLG, and ISO up to 12,800 in standard mode. Gimbal-wise, we have a roll rotation up to 225 degrees and a native vertical 9:16 shooting on the Mini 5 Pro. Officially, on paper, the Mini 5 Pro comes in at about 249.9 grams, but that's very debatable as so many people have reported their Mini 5 Pro to weigh a little bit more than that, maybe 252, 253, but we'll talk about this specific issue later in the video. Still, it's a very lightweight and portable drone. With its omnidirectional obstacle sensing and forward-facing LiDAR, and additionally night-capable return to home, even when the GPS signal is weak, this drone is quite safe and is introducing the latest and greatest tech for drone safety from DJI. The battery of the Mini 5 Pro is supposed to give you a flight time of up to 36 minutes with the regular battery, and if you are in certain regions, you can also purchase the Plus battery, which will give you more flight time but will also increase the total weight of the drone. My expectations going into the review of the Mini 5 Pro in my first couple of flights was that the Mini 5 Pro will be a significant step up compared to the previous model, the Mini 4 Pro, and will add a new way for creators to make their content. Now the question is, did this drone really live up to the hype? We'll find out in today's video. Now here's where I spent a lot of time, because for someone like you and me creating content online, this is what really matters. So here's what's working well. The 1-inch sensor makes a big difference in my opinion. The noise is lower in low light, shadows and highlights hold a lot more detail, and I would say we have a bump of about 20 to 30% in low light performance when comparing directly the Mini 5 Pro to the Mini 4 Pro. In addition, dynamic range has also significantly improved. When we talk about photos, we have 50 megapixel RAW photos coming out of the Mini 5 Pro, and that gives you a lot of flexibility to crop your photos in post and kind of create a different look. So I definitely think photos are not a limitation anymore. You can get a lot out of the Mini 5 Pro with the sensor size, especially if you know how to use manual camera settings. For video, we have 10-bit D-Log-M, 4K 60 frames per second and 120 for slow motion footage. And that means that you have a lot of production flexibility that you can utilize to create a wow looking video. Now here's what really makes the difference though. When comparing the Mini 4 Pro to the Mini 5 Pro, we don't really see a massive difference, especially when comparing them in automatic camera settings. The real difference is, like I already mentioned, if you already know how to utilize those features, how to extract the most out of them, how to lock your manual settings and use the right shutter speed, the right exposure, the right ISO values, if you are color grading your footage later in post, if you shoot in D-Log-M, if you lower your sharpness so your footage doesn't look too digital, if you add that in post, if you know how to extract the most out of your footage, this is when the Mini 5 Pro really shines in my opinion. I think a good testament for what I just mentioned is some of my before and after shots. If you like the look and how I color graded those shots, I'll link my LUTs, the ones that I use for the Mini 5 Pro, down in the description. It's a very easy and convenient way to color grade your footage, even if it's shot in D-Log-M and you are kind of intimidated by it, not knowing how to grade it. It's mostly a couple of clicks that will lead you to a better finished result that looks so much better, a lot crispier, more vibrant, with some added sharpness in post, and that really makes a difference compared to just shooting in auto camera settings. And lastly, when you talk about the camera, we have the 48mm medium telephoto mode, which is a new thing for the Mini 5 Pro. and it kind of introduces having a second lens in your shots without actually having one. I personally think this is a great way to spice up your footage if you kind of experiment with the way you capture shots and you create some of those different perspectives. You can really make your shots look and feel more dynamic and more interesting. Now, of course, the drone is not perfect, and I've noticed a couple of things that are bugging me a little bit, but they are also to be expected from such a small, tiny drone. One of them is that while the sensor is, I would say, excellent, we have a little bit of loss in sharpness at the corners of our footage. So to finish off this chapter, I would say that if you're using this drone for just capturing everyday shots and you're not putting a lot of effort into making those shots look even better, then the difference between the Mini 5 Pro and the Mini 4 Pro is not going to be so noticeable. However, if you decide you want to push the limits in terms of shooting in low light, if you want to heavily grade your footage, if you want to experiment with the gimbal rotation, then you can expect a massive upgrade compared to the Mini 4 Pro. For me, this is a real upgrade. Alright, quick break in the video so I can put something on your radar that I think it's quite important, especially if you're editing a lot. Motion VFX is currently running their final price cut Black Friday sale, which is one of the best deals all year. We have 30% discount on almost everything on the website with the code FINAL. All the plugins, presets, transitions, titles, the stuff that makes your edit looks so much cleaner without spending hours keyframing tiny details. They also have a weekly flash sale where they picked 5 tools and slashed them by 50%. And those are not just like filler packs, they are actually some of their best sellers. So if there is a plugin that you have been thinking about for some time, now would be the best time to get it. Their subscription plans, Cine Studio and Design Studio, also get 15% off for the first billing period. So if you want access to a whole library of tools instead of buying them one by one, that's a nice way to test the waters without committing fully. I'm saying all this because as creators, investing in proper tools saves us a whole lot of time and headaches. And if you're editing a lot of drone shots, product shots, or talking head shots, Motion VFX will have something for you that will tighten your workflow. There's a link below in the description that you can check out to see everything that is currently on discount for Black Friday. Thanks to Motion VFX for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk how it actually feels to use the Mini 5 Pro when you're on the field, when you're putting this and taking it out of your backpack, when you're using it on a daily basis. For me, some very strong points are the fact that the foldable design is very compact and you can carry this drone on shoots with you without feeling like you're hauling a large rig, like for example the Mavic 4 Pro is. I would say the build quality and the gimbal stabilization hold up very well, because even on tricky terrains you get very usable footage. I was quite surprised to see that the wind resistance on the Mini 5 Pro is significantly better to anything else that I've seen on a small drone, so that's a huge thumbs up from me on that. And for situations where you're using subject tracking, active track, obstacle avoidance, and any other smart features, they can help you greatly to achieve those great looking shots a little bit easily. And I have to say, they work pretty well. When it comes to storage and connectivity, we have 42 gigabytes of internal storage on the Mini 5 Pro. So even if you forget your SD card, you will still be fine for a long day of shooting. Now, some of the trade-offs that I've noticed after using the Mini 5 Pro for a couple of months now is that the battery life is really not what DJI is saying. They claim up to 36 minutes, but in reality it's mostly about 20 to 25 depending on the weather conditions, which is a big difference compared to what they're promising. And the biggest drawback of all, the elephant in the room, the weight of this drone. Now, since most people have issues with their drone being a little bit overweight and a little bit over the limit of 250 grams, DJI has claimed that it's still a C0 labeled drone. In Europe, you won't have any issues while flying the Mini 5 Pro, even in those super regulated areas where you can only fly C0 drones. This is still labeled as a C0 drone, and regulations have kind of included a couple of buffer grams, plus or minus 250. So even if your drone weighs 252 or 253 grams, you will still be fine. And I keep saying that to people that are maybe a little bit worried about the rules and the regulations about flying this drone, you won't have any issues with the weight of this drone. It's kind of included, even if it's a little bit heavier, it's included in the C0 category. So if you don't do any stupid things, you wouldn't have anything to worry about with the Mini 5 Pro. So to sum up, for me, the biggest issue when using the Mini 5 Pro on a day-to-day basis is mostly the battery life. The wind resistance is great and the weight does not affect how I fly this drone. I have zero issues with the labeling or the weight of the drone. My biggest issue is the battery life and the fact that just it goes through batteries very, very quickly. So make sure you stock up on your extra batteries. Get the Fly More combo if you're wondering whether you should buy one. I definitely encourage you to get it. Now, if you already own a high-end drone, then the Mini 5 Pro wouldn't necessarily feel like an upgrade, in my opinion. Yes, it has its strong points and its weaknesses. However, the biggest draw to this drone, in my opinion, is the portability, the ease of use, the compactness, and just the fact that you can take it with you anywhere. The weight, the regulations, and the labeling will make you able to fly in a lot more stricter areas where bigger drones wouldn't be able to. So this is the biggest winning points, in my opinion, for the Mini 5 Pro. For me personally, as a person who relies mostly on capturing the highest quality footage possible, I tend to grab my Mavic 4 Pro a lot more than the Mini 5 Pro. Of course, that's to be expected since I have access to both of these drones, but still, the Mini 5 Pro is kind of like my toy type of drone where I can really rely on it in case I need something a little bit less professional looking or a little bit more relaxed, more chill, more travel friendly, or something that doesn't really take up that much space. So my verdict, should you buy the Mini 5 Pro? Yes, you should buy it if you're a content creator or someone who really relies on having high quality footage that's not only hobby grade, but also could be a little bit more professional looking. If you want portability and pro level camera specs, which to be fair is a very rare combination. If you're okay with the shorter flight time and you take advantage of the built-in smart features. If you recognize the regulatory and the weight issues that this drone comes with, but you're okay managing that. But maybe don't buy it if you only fly casually, you don't need high-end specs, or you already have a very good recent drone from DJI, then the upgrade won't really feel that drastic. And if you're looking for a drone that can fly in the sky for a little bit longer than 20 to 25 minutes, definitely skip this one. For me, the Mini 5 Pro is a fantastic choice. It's a great drone, but it's still not my favorite #1 drone that I own or use. That is a spot reserved for the Mavic 4 Pro. The Mavic 4 Pro is still my #1 drone that I tend to pick up daily or any single time I'm wondering what drone to choose. Still, the Mini 5 Pro is a fantastic option for those chill, relaxed flights, for anything that involves a little bit more strict regulations, for traveling, for ease of use, and for compactness and portability. Of course, for that, it's unbeatable. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy. Never stop flying, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.